Did Dak Prescott just cost the Cowboys their best defensive player? The Dallas Cowboys have officially traded all-pro linebacker Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers in exchange for 2 first-round picks and veteran defensive tackle Kenny Clark. It's a seismic shift in the NFL landscape, and one that raises serious questions about the direction of America's team. Micah Parsons wasn't just a star, he was the identity of the Cowboys' defense. But with Dak Prescott reportedly seeking a massive contract extension, Dallas found itself in a financial bind. Therefore, to remain under the cap and plan for the future, the front office made the shocking decision to move their defensive centerpiece. It wasn't an easy call, but when your quarterback commands a major portion of your budget, someone else has to go. From a roster building standpoint, the Cowboys get draft flexibility and a rock-solid veteran in Kenny Clark. But make no mistake, this trade is about more than numbers. It's about priorities. And Green Bay, they just landed a game changer who could redefine their entire defense. This move sends a message, but it also leaves fans wondering, did Dallas just sacrifice its defensive soul to keep its quarterback happy? Or is there more to this story than we're being told? Micah Parsons just made history, and he didn't do it in Dallas. The Green Bay Packers have signed Parsons to a record-breaking 4-year, $188 million extension, making him the highest paid defensive player in NFL history. He'll also be rocking the number 1 jersey, a clear statement that he plans to be the face of this franchise. But here's the twist. This deal may never have happened if the Cowboys hadn't backed themselves into a financial corner, largely thanks to Dak Prescott's looming mega extension. Let's connect the dots. The Cowboys were staring down a future where Dak's new contract would eat up a massive chunk of their salary cap. Therefore, tough choices had to be made. And while no one in Dallas will say it out loud, moving Micah Parsons was the cost of keeping their quarterback paid. The trade wasn't just a football decision, it was a financial sacrifice, and Green Bay pounced. Now Parsons is not only cashing in, he's positioned to lead a rising Packers defense deep into the postseason. Meanwhile, Cowboys fans are left watching a generational talent shine elsewhere, wondering what might have been. Was it worth it to keep Dak? Or did Dallas just pay the wrong man? Dak Prescott has finally broken his silence on the shocking Micah Parsons trade, and his words are raising eyebrows. When asked about losing the heart of the Cowboys defense, Dak framed the move as something that prevented ongoing distractions and put an end to constant questions. According to him, it was a necessary resolution, but necessary for who? That's what fans are now asking. It's a carefully worded response from a quarterback who knows he's under a microscope. Dak didn't express regret. He didn't talk about losing a leader or what Micah meant to the locker room. Instead, he focused on the trade as a way to clear the air, to stop the noise. Therefore, some are reading between the lines. Was Micah's presence creating tension, or was the real distraction the looming reality that Dak's next contract would force the team into impossible decisions? NFL analyst Dan Orlovsky came to Dak's defense, calling the comments obligatory and non-controversial. He argued that Dak had no choice but to toe the company line. That may be true, but in a league driven by perception, silence can speak louder than statements. And this one spoke volumes. Let's not forget, the Cowboys didn't have to trade Micah Parsons. They chose to in the shadow of a quarterback demanding elite money. And now, the guy who stayed gets to control the narrative. Meanwhile, Parsons is thriving in Green Bay, and Cowboys fans are left wondering whether keeping Dak Prescott came at too high a cost. This wasn't just a trade, it was a tipping point, and as the dust settles, the question remains, did Dallas make a smart business decision, or did they quietly break their own defense to preserve their franchise quarterback's paycheck? Stephen A. Smith did not hold back, and this time, his sights were set squarely on Dak Prescott. In a fiery segment, Stephen A. blasted Dak for staying silent during Micah Parsons' contract standoff. The Cowboys quarterback, who once fought tooth and nail for his own massive payday, offered no public support for Parsons. No pressure on ownership, no visible leadership in the midst of rising tension. And according to Stephen A., that silence speaks volumes. Dak got his deal, a massive one. Therefore, Stephen A. argued he should have turned around and gone to bat for the player anchoring the other side of the ball. As the quarterback, the face of the franchise, Dak is expected to do more than just play. He's expected expected to lead, to advocate, to keep the team's core intact, and in Stephen A's words, Dak failed that test. Let's be clear, no one's saying Dak signed the trade papers, but when your contract demands consume the team's cap flexibility, and you don't lift a finger to help keep a generational defensive talent like Micah Parsons and Dallas, fans and analysts start asking hard questions. Stephen A made it plain, Dak had the power to say something. He had the leverage to pressure the front office, even privately. Yet, while Micah's future was in limbo, Dak chose silence. Therefore, the Cowboys lost a locker room leader, a defensive game changer, and possibly a shot at contention. The real kicker, Parsons is now thriving in Green Bay, paid, empowered, and wearing the number 1 jersey. And in Dallas, the void he left behind isn't just physical, it's symbolic. Leadership isn't just about calling plays on Sunday, it's about standing up when it counts. And in this saga, Dak may have stayed seated for too long. Cam Newton has entered the conversation, and his take on Dak Prescott's comments about the Micah Parsons trade was far more measured than most. Cam saw Dak's remarks as neutral, even pragmatic. In his view, the Cowboys quarterback wasn't dodging responsibility. He was simply staying focused on the next game. No theatrics, no distractions, just business. But that's exactly where the debate begins. While Cam defended Dak's quiet professionalism, Stephen A. Smith wasn't having it. He fired back, arguing that Dak's influence in the organization isn't just symbolic, it's real. As the franchise quarterback, Dak could have spoken up, should have spoken up. Therefore, Stephen A. insists that Dak didn't just sit on the sidelines of the contract dispute. He actively chose not to engage, knowing full well that his own looming extension had already put the front office in a financial bind. Others countered that we don't know what happened behind closed doors. Private conversations, they argue, may have taken place between Dak, ownership, and even Parsons himself, and that's fair. But from a public-facing standpoint, the only side fans ever see, Dak's silence created a vacuum, and in today's NFL, perception matters just as much as action. Therefore, while Cam praised Dak's calm demeanor, Stephen A's point still lingers. Leadership sometimes means stepping into uncomfortable territory. The quarterback has a platform, and when one of the league's most dominant defenders is on the verge of being traded, the face of the team speaking out could make a difference. Instead, Dallas made a decision that felt cold, calculated, and eerily silent at the top. Parsons is gone, Dak remains, and fans are left asking, did staying quiet keep the focus or cost the Cowboys their defensive future? Stephen A. Smith made it personal and powerful. In defending his criticism of Dak Prescott, he drew from his own experience at ESPN, saying that real leaders don't need to make a scene to make a difference. Instead, they push decision makers behind closed doors, calmly but firmly, toward better outcomes. Therefore, Stephen A. argued, Dak didn't need to blast Jerry Jones in the media or spark controversy, but as the face of the franchise, he could have gone to ownership and said, we can't lose Micah Parsons. Do whatever it takes. That quiet influence, Stephen A. said, is the hallmark of true leadership. So while Dak stayed composed and focused publicly, the question remains, did he use his private voice at all? Or did he protect his own financial future, even if it meant letting a generational talent walk out the door? That's the leadership test, and in Stephen A.'s eyes, Dak failed it. The debate ended exactly where it started, divided. Stephen A. Smith remained visibly frustrated, pointing to what he called Dak Prescott's passivity during the Micah Parsons contract saga. In his eyes, a true franchise quarterback doesn't just manage games, he manages moments. And this was the moment to speak up. Therefore, for Stephen A., Dak's silence wasn't strategy. It was a missed opportunity that may have cost Dallas its most dominant defender. On the other side, voices like Cam Newton and others defended Dak's approach. They argued that under the intense spotlight, Dak did what leaders do. He stayed poised, stayed professional, and kept his focus on football. The business side, that wasn't his lane, and trying to step into it publicly could have only added fuel to the fire. But here's the thing, somewhere between calm leadership and calculated detachment lies the truth. And if you follow the money trail, Dak's contract talks, the cap constraints, and the trade itself, you can't help but wonder if one player's rise came at the expense of another's fall. Was it coincidence or consequence? We'll let you decide. But if you think this story is over, think again. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because Blitz Brief is just getting started.